This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. There's a ton of new products being shown at the Shanghai Auto Show, and that's where we're going today. While Ford pretty much gave up on selling sedans in the US market, that's not the case in China. It unveiled this concept of the Lincoln Zephyr, but it sure looks production ready to us. The grille is a dominant part of the front-end design, but doesn't look gargantuan. The headlamps are super thin and are connected with a horizontal line that runs across the top of the grille and behind the Lincoln badge. Note the bone line that sweeps up from the ends of the headlamps and runs all the way to the rear. Inside, the top part of the dashboard is dominated by a giant screen that runs the width of the car. Note too how the top and bottom of the steering wheel are blacked out and almost give it the look of a steering yoke. This is a design concept that is said to hint at the production model, which is scheduled to debut later this year. We wouldn't get too attached to it though unless you live in China. This car was designed solely for the Chinese market. We also wonder what platform this vehicle is based on. We'd be interested to know. Audi unveiled a concept car as well, the A6 e-tron. It's built on the group's PPE platform, which stands for Premium Platform Electric. It's a flexible platform that will be used for B, C, and D segments and SUV-sized vehicles. It's also shared with Porsche. Audi says the A6 e-tron will go into production late next year with up to 700 kilometers of WLTP range, or about 434 miles, thanks to two electric motors with a combined 350 kilowatts of power and a torque of 800 Newton meters. It will go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in under 4 seconds. That translates to 470 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. One way Audi is getting good range is with a 100 kilowatt-hour battery pack. Another way is with aerodynamics. The coefficient of drag is only 0.22. Also, the paint is super reflective, so Audi claims in many situations the passengers may not need to use the air conditioning system. And VW showed off the ID.6, which looks a lot like the ID.4, only bigger. It's built on the group's MEB platform. It's specifically aimed at Chinese consumers, and there are two versions, the ID.6X and the ID.6 Cross, which can be configured for 6 or 7 passengers. There are 3 motor choices, 132 kilowatts, 150, or 225. That's 176 horsepower, 201, and 301 horsepower. VW says it will go from 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in 6.6 seconds with the big motor, which is pretty decent. But with the smaller motors, it accelerates at only 9.1 and 9.3 seconds, which in our book is kind of pokey, especially for an electric vehicle.
We want to know what drives your testing. OTA, connected car, diagnostics, remote testing. Intrepid Control Systems is here to help you work from anywhere. Intrepid Control Systems, driven by your data.
Toyota is arriving late to the BEV party, and maybe you'd even say fashionably late, based on the BZ4X that just debuted. It's an SUV that rides on a new dedicated BEV platform that was co-developed with Subaru, BYD, Suzuki, and Daihatsu. 15 models from those various brands will come off the platform by 2025, 7 of which will be Toyotas. Toyota will call that series of vehicles BZ, the first being based on the BZ4X concept, which is scheduled to come out in the middle of next year. While we don't know much about the powertrain yet, it will be all-wheel drive capable, and have some sort of solar panel to provide power to the battery. The interior is clean with simple materials and an infotainment screen that seems to bend and grow out of the center console. But it's also a bit futuristic with a cockpit-like area for the driver that features a race car-inspired steering wheel and deep-set instrument cluster. Toyota says it plans to make the BZ4X in both Japan and China. And Toyota's hometown rival Honda is also at the BEV party and only arrived a few minutes before Toyota. But it's finally here and has the all-new SUV e-prototype to show off. There's not a whole lot of information on this model yet. We do know it's supposed to go on sale in China in the spring of next year. That would lead us to believe this is not an Ultium-based SUV that GM will make for Honda. Mercedes revealed the latest vehicle in its EQ family of electric vehicles, the EQB, a compact SUV. The company didn't share too many details about the powertrain, other than in Europe, several models will be available in front and all-wheel drive with various power levels. And the usable capacity of the batteries in Europe is 66.5 kilowatt hours. A longer range version will also be available. Despite being a compact SUV, it has the option for 3 rows, but only children or small adults will be able to fit back there. The EQB will be built in both China and Europe. It launches in both of those markets this year and arrives at U.S. dealers in 2022. Mercedes will reveal U.S. specs closer to its launch date.
The world is changing at an ever-increasing pace. No matter what the mode of transportation, there is always the need for an efficient propulsion system. And that's exactly what BorgWarner has been doing since the earliest days of the automotive industry.
Automated and autonomous driving are important developments that help make the traffic of the future safer, more efficient, and more comfortable. We are ZF.
Volvo is partnering with DiDi, which is like the Uber of China, to test autonomous vehicles for DiDi's fleet. Volvo will provide XC90s equipped with built-in backup systems and safety features such as steering and braking. DiDi will integrate its latest generation self-driving system into the vehicles. DiDi's goal is to add autonomous vehicles to its fleet without having to have safety drivers on board. Genesis brought the electric version of its G80 sedan to Shanghai. It's only available in all-wheel drive, and its 2 electric motors generate a combined 272 kilowatts of power and 700 newton meters of torque. That's 364 horses and 516 pound-feet. It'll do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 4.9 seconds. Genesis did not divulge the size of the battery pack, but says it accommodates 800-volt fast charging and delivers a driving range of more than 500 kilometers or 310 miles. But that's based on the NEDC test cycle, which, as Autoline Daily viewers know, it's not reflective of real-world driving. And here's a better look at the long wheelbase version of the Buick Envision we teased earlier this month. Styling carries over from the shorter version of the SUV, which was just updated last year. It also features GM's new electrical architecture, which offers OTA update capability, as well as a new 2-liter turbo with 48-volt tech that's mated to a 9-speed automatic. But that's not all Buick had to show off. The new Verano sedan dropped as well. While it has things like updated exterior styling, we're more interested in that giant display screen. It merges 2 10.25-inch screens into one unit. In our opinion, you don't come out with a screen like that and just offer it in one sedan that's sold in China. So we'd expect it to make it to other models as well. Chinese EV startup Xpeng took the wraps off its P5 sedan. It's the first vehicle with built-in LiDAR, which helps enable the next-gen version of its X-Pilot driver assistance system. The previous system offered hands-free driving on certain highways. It's now able to change lanes and overtake cars and operate on specific city roads. Powertrain details aren't known yet, but it's expected to be offered with both rear and all-wheel drive and have a range of 600 kilometers or about 373 miles, but again, that's based on the NEDC test. And for comparison, the P5 is a bit longer than a Tesla Model 3, but it has a shorter wheelbase. The P5 will launch in China at the end of the year. But that's all for today. Thank you for watching.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering, boost your game. Borg Warner, propulsion solutions that support a clean, energy-efficient world. And by ZF, driving intelligence for software-defined vehicles and transforming next-generation mobility.